oh, is this what the minds feel like?
Be your best, be your best. You can do it, be your best. Bio means beauty in Japanese. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hello. And if you're coming back, thanks. So today I'm going to review the Biore UV Aqua Rich Watery Hold Cream, the A formulation. So this came out, I think initially it came out last year and it was a limited release. They only had it first at Matsumoto Kiyoshi and Kokokara Fine. But then they released it this year. They were like, oh, it's so popular, it performed so well. Oh, wait, wow, we just started talking. But let me introduce myself. So my name is Laura. I've been living in Japan for 11 years. And last year I passed the Japanese cosmetic licensing test. Am I a medical professional? No. That just means basically I studied about this stuff in Japanese, so I want to use the information that I learned to help you be your best. So if you want to learn more about Jbeauty, and I'm not gonna lie, we get to otaku levels of like deep, like Mariana Trench deep information. If you want more info on that, go ahead, like, subscribe. And this last intro before we get into the video is that I do have a YesStyle code. It's BeYourBest9, so you can find the link in the description box down below. If you're interested in making any purchase, you don't have anybody else's creator code that you would like to use, you can go ahead and feel free to use mine. It would help out the channel. But yeah, so let's get right into today's video. Again, this is the Biore Rich Watery Hold Cream A. And I believe that the A is because this is the version that came out this year versus the version that came out last year. I've been testing out for the past 3 days. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna do the application. I'm gonna talk to you and tell you about the product itself. And then I'm also gonna show videos of like how it looks in different lighting, because I did go outside and I took videos so you can see, is it worth buying? So what's interesting about the sunscreen is that it is a completely mineral sunscreen. It only has one UV filter, and that is Titan or titanium oxide. And that was one of the things that was really like, when this came out, people were like, oh my gosh, like this is so like impressive, because they only used Titan, and yet it doesn't have that, like, you know, like when you use mineral sunscreens and then you're like, oh, is this what the minds feel like? Like it's just like dry, like crusty. And it actually, over the 3 days that I've used it, I'm surprised. It actually is not dry and disgusting. But being a mineral sunscreen and being that it only does use Titan or that titanium oxide, it does leave an incredible white cast, but you're gonna find out about that soon. Okay, so let's go ahead and just start with the application. So I am going to, by the way, so I'm gonna go ahead and apologize here, but I have dissed some of these sunscreens here. Most of them are chemical, but some of them I've been like, oh my gosh, no, because they don't work. And it's not that they don't work, like they work just fine to protect my face, but apparently I've been using too much sunscreen. So I've been using about this much sunscreen. Long story, hopefully medium rare. There's a video that I'm gonna link down below by Glow by Ramon, and he is a cosmetic chemist, I believe, and a beauty creator as well. And he did a video that shows how you can measure your face to see how much sunscreen it is that you need in, not volume. Volume is how much space it takes up in weight. And so I did that along with him. It was really, really useful, and he made it very easy to do. And I got, hold up, I have my notes here, that according to my face, where you at? Okay, so I got that according to my face, it should be like rounding it up, it should be 0.75. So I think it would be good to aim for 0.77 to around 0.77 to 0.8 grams of sunscreen when I use a sunscreen. But yeah, so in order to get, because I told you we're getting otaku level D, because in order to get the most accurate measurements, I did buy a scale that I have. I keep it here. And when I put on sunscreen, do you need to do, no, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. And I feel like most people won't. They'll be like, whoa, you are doing the most. But for people who might be like, is that what I need to do? It really is not what you need to do. I heard people usually go like the 2-finger rule and they just measure out in 2 fingers. That probably is fine realistically, but because I like to spend money that I don't have, and I just like to feel like I'm keeping things as consistent as possible, then I do all of this. Anyway, very extra. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure out. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure out my, I'm trying to aim for 0.77 to 0.8. And this is the little sunscreen. So this was Jbeauty the first, and thank you so much for your service, but I no longer need him because he's a little bit too big. So now we're gonna do Jbeauty the second. Oh gosh. Okay, got 0.76, so we're gonna go with that. Again, you need to do all of this. No, you don't. Just, it's okay. Let's get a little extra. So this is, as you can see, this is the sunscreen right here. The texture is quite kotteri, or it's very rich, so I turn it upside down and it doesn't come out. Okay, so this is the before, and yeah, just emotionally prepare yourself for the after. Oh, I should have done half my face so you could see. But as you can see, as I'm putting it on my face, it's already quite white. Also, it does have a slight fragrance. Let me see on the ingredients. Yeah, it has koryo at the bottom. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with the second layer. And I usually like to layer my sunscreens, like put on one layer and then put on a second layer. You don't have to do that. You can put it all in one layer. This is just how I like to do it. And I feel like this one was not bad. Yeah, so when I rate sunscreens, I give it like a bunch. I have a bunch of different metrics that I rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. And then, oh, I can't really see because I don't have my glasses, but all I see is like Casper white, and then the rest is like skin color. Oh, but yeah, so I have a bunch of metrics that I rate it on 1 through 5, and then the higher the score, the better, essentially. When putting on sunscreen, you definitely should cover your ears and cover your neck. But I'm gonna do that with a different sunscreen because look at this, genuinely, truly. Okay, so this is immediately after application. That's what we got going on here. Oh, that's worse than I thought. So now I'm gonna put a timer for 7 minutes, and then I'll show you the results. I'll show you. Let me set the timer. So in the meantime, I'm gonna tell you about the product itself, and then I'm also gonna tell you my review over the past couple of days that I've been trying it. And so one of the things that this product really promotes is that it keeps your face moisturized through the night. And I would say, like, of the mineral sunscreens that I've tried, this has been one of the best. I think there's only been one other one, but it was not only a mineral sunscreen though. So that immediately takes this out of the picture because it was a hybrid sunscreen. That one, if I can remember, I'm gonna put, it was Biore sunscreen, and was it Biore? Yes, it was like some environment or something. I actually really like those. It did give me a white cast. It wasn't as bad as this. Like, this is next level, but it was really, really good though. But yeah, long story short, for a mineral sunscreen, I was actually surprised at how moisturizing it felt. Also, conversely, if you could see, I look very shiny. I would dare say maybe greasy, and I am not a very oily skin person. I'm super dry, dehydrated. I don't produce a lot of my own natural oils. So to get this shine, there's definitely a lot of, like, what I'm trying to say is, if you're acne prone, maybe this might just make you look a little bit more oily than usual. Another reason why the sunscreen was so popular, aside from the fact that it's a mineral sunscreen and only has one mineral filter, and the way that they did it is that they encapsulated, they made the sankachitana, the titanium oxide, really, really tiny. They nano-sized it, and then they encapsulated it in, it says these mizumizushi, like, water capsules. So it's supposed to protect you from the sun while simultaneously keeping the moisture on your face. But yeah, so another reason why this was really, really popular when it came out is because of the mineral filter that they chose to use, which is Sankachitan titanium oxide. And the reason being that recently there's kind of a movement, not necessarily a movement, but like, let's call it a movement of away from sanka iron or zinc oxide. And the reason being that in Japan, it's being said that some people who use products with sanka iron or iron oxide is causing them pimples or to break out. So then they're kind of trying to avoid sanka iron. So when this product came out in the market, people were like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. But like, how they leave the house, I don't know. Like this is a lot. Oh no, the mic has been there the whole time. I'm sorry, the audio, maybe it wasn't that great, but we'll do our best. Anyway, so like, there's kind of two different camps. So one camp will say, oh no, Jbeauty, or like, yeah, for sure, the zinc oxide will cause the pimples in the people. But other camp is that no, it's not actually the zinc oxide that is causing the pimples in the people. It's the fact that people are not correctly washing the zinc oxide. Like, the zinc oxide tends to get into the pores, and people are not properly washing that out, and then not doing proper cleansing is what's causing the pimples versus the actual zinc oxide itself. So I don't know, have you noticed that if you use sunscreens with zinc oxide that you have an increase in pimples if you are more acne prone? So do you try to stay away from that ingredient, or is this something that maybe you're going to try and implement? Personally, I haven't experienced any issues, so I would really love to hear from you. So yeah, that's another really interesting point of the sunscreen. And then some other things that they mention is on the site is akaruku shiagaru. So it's basically tone up. Do I look toned up? I think I do. Okay, let's move on to the next point. They say that you could also use it as a kesho study, and I did use it. I mean, basically, I just went in with my foundation. You'll see the results here. This is what I look like with the foundation. But I feel like because it tones up me so much that I would need to get a foundation that is maybe even darker than my skin tone in order to combat all of this that's going on my face. You feel me? I came across this black beauty creator on my Instagram, and look, if she made it work, I can make it work. My theory is that if I get a darker foundation, it might come closer to my skin tone than this, because when I put on the regular, this is what it looks like. I hopefully have been showing you on the screen what it looks like. But then I would have to get a separate foundation that is a darker shade in order to combat this, when this is not necessarily my preferred experience for sunscreens. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the 7-minute timer just went off, so I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So this is after it's taken 7 minutes to settle on my skin. So am I going to star in a kabuki show, or am I just going to kabuki show? You know, you gotta make them distinctions. Another thing that they say on the site is that the nobigai, or like it spreads well, and I will say it does spread very well. Let me show you on my hand. So as you can see, it is very creamy. It is incredibly, I have never, wow, so smooth. When I look at the back of my hand, I'm like, that's not that bad. But then I look at my other hand and I'm like, well, you know, yeah, buddy, there is a difference. But yeah, so like, it's honestly so incredibly smooth. It as an experience, it is very smooth, but I feel like you can see in the camera that it does look very, very, very shiny. Some other things to know about this product, that it's a completely non-chemical formula. It's alcohol free. It says it's paraben free. It's coloring free. It says that you can wash it off with soap. And actually that ties into the fact that it does not have any of the water resistant marks. So recently in Japan, they have now this new water resistant mark system, which is either 1 black star or 2 black stars. And I believe that if it doesn't have any stars, then this ain't water resistant, which means when you slide, especially in this heat outside Japan, like it's nasty outside to be like sweating, your sunscreen is going to be coming off. And if your sunscreen is coming off, that means you're unprotected. But this is going to be a hard sunscreen to do, you know, try and like fix after. You know, if it's like a chemical sunscreen that doesn't leave a crazy white cast, you can go ahead and you can probably pat that over again in your face with like a makeup sponge or something, and maybe you can do that. If on top of your makeup, you have your mineral sunscreen under, you have your makeup, and then on top you can maybe put a chemical sunscreen if your skin is not super sensitive, depending on how again you react to those kind of sunscreens. But yeah, I'm just saying this is going to be very difficult to work outside of the space of just putting it initially on your face. So how does that tie into this? Because it says that it comes off with soap. It doesn't have a water resistant mark, which means that potentially it could come off with just a soap. And essentially what they mean by soap it's supposed to be like very gentle and not really stick onto the skin. So you don't need to go in with kurenjingu, or what would be the first step, like the oil based cleanser. Me personally though, I would not try and, you know what? I'm gonna try and get off a little bit with some soap and I will report later. But I don't think that this is coming off just with soap. Okay, so I rubbed my finger really hard on my face to see if I could get. It's hard to see on the camera, but I don't know if you can see that little white area. Yeah, it's definitely, the sunscreen is definitely still stuck on my face. So I would say you cannot get it off with soap. Definitely need a cleanse. Okay, bye. I'm just saying. Let me clean up my eyebrows, see if it helps me look a little bit better. This is a lot. But yeah, it says that it has moisturizing ingredients such as shea butter, which again, shea butter is an ingredient that could cause pimples in people. And apparently, from my understanding, it's not necessarily that it's the shea butter itself, but like indirectly, because this will get into our pores, and then in our pores we have like acne bacteria, and the acne bacteria will feed on the shea butter. If I understood that correctly, they tend to have that property, and that's why it could break out people with acne prone skin. But it's funny because the next point, it says that it's nikibi ni narinikuii shoho. and it's non-comedogenic, and it's formulated so that it doesn't cause pimples easily. But again, skincare is very individual. We are all skin individuals, therefore you would have to try it and see if it works for you. Then that's great, but there's a chance that it could not. I'm just saying, theoretically speaking, what I see on paper. But again, what you see on paper is not everything, so there's a lot of things to juggle. Okay, it's been definitely past 7 minutes, and I think it went down from the initial shock, but we are definitely still several shades lighter than my skin tone. So if you are my skin tone or deeper, I'm just, but again, she made it work, so it's not impossible. As far as my score, so I have 13 metrics by which I measure them, and I'm gonna put them here on the screen. It's rating 0 out of 5, and the higher the score, the better. So for white cast, this is a 0. Okay, I'm sorry, you failed the test immediately. For burning or cooling, I didn't have any of these sensations, and actually I thought I should point this out because I actually have the Medicube Booster Pro. I've been trying this out for a while. I will continue to try it. I'll tell you guys after I've tried it for a long time. What I have to say is that I do use the Derma Airshot mode, which is the one that you use on dry skin, and it uses the electricity to open up really tiny microscopic holes to help the ingredient get into your skin better. And when I used this the next day, I didn't feel it on my skin, which sometimes when I use sunscreens that have alcohol, I do feel a little bit of stinging. I felt no stinging, no burning whatsoever with this, and I don't have sensitive skin. I have like dragon skin, so that was really impressive. But yeah, I didn't feel any burning or any kind of cooling. And then as far as moisturizing, I gave it a 4 and a 4.5 on the 2 different days. Like, I'm gonna give this a 5. Realistically, I'm gonna give it a 5. Like, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 and a 5 because it was really good. That's gonna bump up the score a bit. Okay, and then over the 2 days that I tried it, the streakiness, at first I gave it a 3. Yeah, no, the score is going, yeah, so I gave it a 3 and a 4. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but for example here, there's like some patchiness going on. It doesn't go on really well because it's a mineral formula. It's really easy to see. So if you're not gonna leave the house like this, then you should be fine. But yeah, like, this is not like a slap and go kind of sunscreen for the most part, I guess. But yeah, there's patchiness here. There's also some patchiness here, like you can see where I rubbed it in. So in terms of the streakiness, I gave it a 3 and a 4 because it has its good moments and it has its not so great moments. Then for reapplicability, I'm sorry, I'm not reapplying the sunscreen. This is what it looks like on a normal application. I'm not doing that to myself. And then layerability, again, I put it in 2 layers, and I would say it's not bad. I gave it a 4.5 for both days because it goes on, and like, yeah, it does leave some streakiness, but like, it doesn't fight me. Like, sometimes the sunscreen, it kind of sets too quick, and then it feels like I'm moving the bottom layer with the top layer, but it doesn't feel like that. So I would definitely give it a 4.5. The pilling, I experienced no pilling with this whatsoever. I also didn't experience anything with this whatsoever, and I did go running in the morning. I did sweat a little bit. I didn't experience any eye sting, but again, eye sting is also a thing that is very individual, so hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but it didn't happen to me. Just reporting that. Fragrance, it does have a slight fragrance, but it goes away. But if you're just really sensitive to fragrance, that might be something. If you could get a tester somewhere and test it out and see, like, throughout the day, just put it on your hand and sniff it immediately and then sniff it throughout the day and see if it'll bother you, because it is something that is on your face. So just, that's something to consider. And then the texture, I really like the texture. Again, you saw on the back of my hand, it went on. It's very creamy, very smooth. Packaging, I personally like the packaging. I think it's really cute, so I gave it a 5. It's pretty easy to open. It's pretty easy to open. It's not like a weird obtuse shape. I could just slip this into my bag, so this is not bad. I like this. And then for the finish, I gave it a grease ball finish because I definitely think this is one of the more oily looking sunscreens that I have. So the total score is a 4.19 out of 5, which is honestly not bad. That's not bad. Would I repurchase this? No, I wouldn't, just because I have very tough skin, so I don't have a particular need for mineral sunscreens. Therefore, I don't need to do all of this to myself. But if you're someone who has sensitive skin and you only want to use mineral sunscreens and you happen to have really dry skin, you want something that you don't mind that kind of dewy, glowy, greasy look, this might be something to consider. So yeah, overall, I don't think it's a bad sunscreen. It's the sunscreen for me. But yeah, so wow, super long video. Let me know what your thoughts are on this product. Have you tried this sunscreen before, and or have you tried any other Biore sunscreens that you love and or hate? Or have you tried the one that I mentioned earlier? Because I really like that sunscreen, but they don't make it anymore. So if you find it, I personally like the essence. The milk was kind of similar action going on. It's a little bit less intense than it was before. But yeah, so that's it for today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. As always, hope you have a super good day. Remember, God bless me,